Once upon a time, in a land not so different from our own, on the very edge of a bustling city, stood a magnificent, magical apple tree. This wasn't just any tree. Its branches reached for the sky, and its leaves whispered secrets to the wind. Every single day, the cheerful laughter of children echoed around its strong trunk. They would come from all corners of the city to play hide and seek among its roots, chase each other in circles, and, of course, pluck the sweet, crisp apples right from its branches. These apples were the juiciest, most delicious apples anyone had ever tasted, and the children would always share them, their faces lit up with pure delight. The tree loved the sound of their happiness. It was the music that made its leaves dance. But one sunny afternoon, the happy scene was broken. A new boy, one nobody had seen before, stomped into the garden. He had a deep frown on his face, and his hands were planted firmly on his hips. He looked at the children playing and shouted with a voice that cut through their laughter, "Hey, what do you think you're doing? This garden belongs to me. I bought it a long, long time ago. That means this apple tree is mine, and only mine. You're not allowed to play here anymore. Go on, get out." The children stopped in their tracks, their smiles vanishing. A heavy silence fell over the garden. The joy that had filled the air just moments before seemed to evaporate like morning mist. Hearing the boys' harsh words, they felt a pang of sadness. They looked at each other, their shoulders slumped. Without a word, they bowed their heads, and quietly, one by one, they turned and left the garden. The boastful boy was left all alone, standing under the great apple tree, a smug look on his face. But the garden felt strangely empty and quiet now. The only sound was the rustling of the leaves, which now sounded less like a happy whisper and more like a sad sigh. The magic apple tree had seen and heard everything. It watched the joyful children leave with heavy hearts, and it saw the lonely boy standing proudly by himself. The tree knew something had to be done. It was a wise old tree, and it understood things that people sometimes forget. So, using its ancient magic, it gently rustled its leaves, creating a soft, lulling melody. The boy, feeling a sudden wave of tiredness, yawned and decided to rest. He lay down in the cool shade beneath the tree's sprawling branches, and in just a few moments he drifted off into a deep, deep sleep. And as he slept, the apple tree wove a special dream for him. In this dream, the world was slightly different. The boy suddenly found himself back under the tree, but he was overcome with a gnawing hunger, a hunger so intense it felt like his stomach was a bottomless pit. He looked up and saw the branches were still laden with beautiful red apples. Perfect, he thought. He eagerly started to climb the sturdy trunk, his eyes fixed on the closest, most perfect-looking apple. He reached out his hand, his fingers just about to grasp the fruit. But just as his fingertips grazed the apple's smooth skin, something strange happened. The branch twisted away with a sudden jerk, as if it were alive, and the apple tumbled from its stem. It didn't fall to the ground, though. Instead, it dropped right into a huge dark hollow that had appeared in the tree's trunk. The boy was surprised, but his hunger was stronger than his confusion. He scrambled towards another apple and then another. But each and every time, the exact same thing happened. The moment he touched an apple, the branch would recoil and the fruit would fall, lost forever in the dark hollow. He tried again and again, growing more and more frantic, until every single apple was gone, all except for one, a single perfect apple left hanging tantalizingly on the highest branch, just out of his reach. Exhausted, defeated, and still starving, the boy slid down the trunk and sat at the base of the tree. The emptiness in his stomach was now matched by a feeling of despair in his heart. He couldn't hold it in any longer. He buried his face in his hands and began to cry, his sobs shaking his whole body. It was then that a deep, gentle voice, a voice that sounded like the rustling of 1,000 leaves, echoed around him. It was the apple tree. "Why are you crying, little one?" it asked kindly. The boy looked up, his eyes red and puffy from tears. He pointed an accusing finger at the hollow in the trunk. You're so selfish." He sobbed, his voice cracking. "You took all the apples for yourself. You ate them all and left none for me. I'm so hungry, and it's all your fault." He felt a surge of anger and frustration. The apple tree didn't get angry, though. Instead, it let out a soft, low chuckle, a sound like creaking branches in a gentle breeze. "Selfish." The tree replied, its voice calm and patient. "Tell me, do you remember a little while ago when you stood in this very spot and drove all your friends away? They were hungry for apples too, you know. They wanted to share them, just as they always do. But you gave them none. You kept them all for yourself. So tell me, my dear boy, who was really the selfish one?" The tree's words hit the boy like a physical blow. Suddenly, the dream faded slightly, and a real memory surfaced in his mind. He saw the faces of the other children, their eyes wide with sadness and confusion as they turned to leave the garden. He remembered the way their shoulders drooped and how the laughter had died on their lips. A hot wave of shame washed over him. He had been so focused on what he wanted that he never once thought about how his actions made others feel. He looked up at the magnificent tree, the single apple still hanging from its branch, and he felt very, very small. "Yes, double quotes," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "You're right. I was wrong." The moment he admitted his mistake, the entire atmosphere of the dream shifted. The apple tree let out a hearty, booming laugh, a joyful sound that seemed to shake the very ground. Its branches quivered with delight, and that last single apple dislodged from its stem. It didn't fall into the hollow, though. It fell straight down, landing with a gentle thump right on the boy's head. With a jolt, the boy's eyes snapped open. He was no longer in the dream. He was lying on the soft grass under the real apple tree, the afternoon sun warming his face. He blinked, confused, and looked around. The giant dark hollow in the trunk was gone. The tree stood peacefully, just as it always had, and to his amazement, its branches were once again heavy with hundreds of ripe red apples. It was as if the dream had never happened. But he knew it had. The memory of the dream, the hunger, the shame, and the tree's wise words were crystal clear in his mind. He didn't hesitate. He leaped to his feet with a newfound energy and purpose. He knew exactly what he had to do. He turned and ran out of the garden, his feet flying over the ground as he raced to find the other children. He found them sitting glumly by the side of the road, not knowing where to go. "Friends, friends, wait," he shouted as he ran towards them. They looked up, surprised to see him. "Come back," he panted, a genuine smile spreading across his face for the first time that day. "Please, come back and play. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for chasing you away. The garden is for everyone." The children stared at him for a moment, and seeing the sincere regret in his eyes, their own faces broke into wide, happy smiles. With a joyful cheer, they all got up and ran happily back to the garden together. This time, it was the boy himself who eagerly scrambled up the apple tree. He climbed with a skill he didn't know he had, picking the ripest, reddest apples he could find and tossing them down to his waiting friends below. Soon, the air was filled with joyful shouts and laughter once again. The garden was alive with happiness, more vibrant than ever before, and as the boy sat on a branch, watching his friends share the delicious fruit, he finally understood it. He understood that having something all to yourself isn't happiness at all. The greatest, sweetest, and most magical joy in the world is the joy you share with others. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful story. I hope it brought a little magic to your day. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories to share. See you next time.